Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our English Listening Practice podcast. My name is Natasha, and today we are going to enjoy another story together. The goal of this episode is to help you practice your listening skills, learn some new vocabulary, and also hear English in a natural way that you can understand. This episode is for intermediate learners, so if you are at level B1 or B2, you will find it both useful and interesting. Now, today's story is about something that happens to many people every single day. It is about a morning when everything goes wrong. Have you ever had one of those mornings? You wake up late, you cannot find your clothes, your bus or train leaves before you arrive, and you feel like the day has already started badly. Well, that is exactly the story we are going to listen to today. Let's begin. The story starts with a young man named Daniel. Daniel is a university student. He is 21 years old, and he lives in a small apartment near the city center. Normally, Daniel is very organized. He sets his alarm clock every night. He usually wakes up at 7 o'clock, takes a shower, makes a quick breakfast, and then leaves his apartment by 8 o'clock. He needs to take the bus to the university, and his first class begins at 9. But on this particular day, something very different happened. Daniel's alarm clock did not ring. Well, actually, it did ring, but he was so tired from studying the night before that he pressed the snooze button again and again. Do you know the snooze button? It is that small button you press when you want to sleep a little bit longer. Daniel pressed it 3 times. So instead of waking up at 7, he finally opened his eyes at 8:15. When he saw the time, he jumped out of bed in shock. "Oh no, I'm late!" he shouted. His hair was messy, his clothes were still on the chair from the night before, and his bag was empty because he forgot to prepare it. He quickly ran to the bathroom. He brushed his teeth as fast as possible. He did not have time for a shower, so he just splashed some cold water on his face. Then he rushed back into his room, grabbed the first shirt he could find, and put it on. Unfortunately, the shirt had a small stain on it, but he didn't care. He just wanted to be on time. Next, Daniel looked for his wallet and phone. His wallet was not in its usual place. He looked on the desk, on the bed, under the chair, but it wasn't there. Finally, he found it inside his jacket pocket. He took it quickly, put it in his bag, and then he was ready to go. Or at least he thought he was ready. When he opened the door to leave the apartment, he realized he had forgotten his keys. So he had to run back inside again, check the kitchen table, and finally he found them next to the coffee machine. But of course, he didn't have time to make coffee. Now Daniel was finally out the door. He ran down the street as fast as he could. The bus stop was about 5 minutes away. While he was running, he saw the bus arrive. "Wait, please wait!" he shouted. But the driver did not hear him. The bus closed its doors and left. Daniel stopped and took a deep breath. He was tired already. And it was only 8:30. He had 2 choices. He could wait 15 minutes for the next bus, or he could try to take a taxi. But a taxi was more expensive. He decided to wait for the bus. While he was waiting, he checked his phone. He saw a message from his friend Anna, who was also in the same class. The message said, "Hey Daniel, are you coming? The professor is going to start on time today." Daniel typed back quickly, "Yes, I'm on the way. But I might be a little late." Finally, the next bus arrived. Daniel got on, found a seat, and tried to relax. But then he realized something shocking. He had forgotten his notebook and pen at home. How could he take notes in class without them? He felt frustrated. Now, let's pause for a moment. Did you notice how many small problems Daniel faced in just one morning? First, he overslept. Then he forgot his wallet. After that, he missed his bus. And finally, he realized he didn't bring his notebook. This kind of story is very useful for listening practice because it is full of everyday vocabulary. Alarm clock, snooze button, wallet, keys, bus stop, notebook, professor. These are all common words that you might also need in your own life. Let's continue the story. Daniel finally arrived at the university. It was 9 o'clock sharp. The class had already started. He opened the door quietly and walked in. The professor looked at him and said, "Mr. Daniel, you are late again." Daniel's face turned red. He felt embarrassed. He quickly sat down next to his friend Anna. She whispered, "Rough morning?" And Daniel nodded. Throughout the class, Daniel tried to concentrate, but he couldn't stop thinking about his stressful morning. He promised himself that next time he would prepare better. He would go to bed earlier, set 2 alarms, and pack his bag the night before. This story teaches us something important. Even small actions like preparing your bag or going to bed on time can make your day much easier. And of course, sometimes things go wrong, and that is normal. What matters is how we deal with those situations. The class lasted for 1 hour, but for Daniel, it felt much longer. He kept looking at the clock on the wall, waiting for the minutes to pass. Every time the professor asked a question, Daniel avoided eye contact, hoping he wouldn't be chosen. He was still feeling embarrassed about being late, and he didn't want to draw more attention to himself. Finally, at 10 o'clock, the professor said, "That's all for today. Don't forget to read the next chapter for tomorrow." Everyone began to pack their bags. Daniel felt relieved. At least the class was over. But then he remembered. He hadn't brought his lunch with him. Usually, Daniel prepared a sandwich or some snacks in the morning, but because he was in such a hurry, he had nothing. His stomach was already growling. He turned to Anna and said, "Do you want to grab something to eat?" Anna smiled and replied, "Sure, I was going to the cafeteria anyway. Let's go." The university cafeteria was always crowded at this time. Students were standing in long lines, chatting with their friends, or quickly eating before their next class. The smell of coffee, pizza, and fried food filled the air. Daniel and Anna joined the line. While waiting, Daniel told Anna about his chaotic morning, how he pressed the snooze button too many times, how he ran after the bus, and how he forgot his notebook. Anna laughed and said, "That sounds like a classic Monday morning." "Don't worry, it happens to everyone." When it was their turn, Daniel ordered a chicken sandwich and a cup of coffee. Anna got a salad and some juice. They found a small table near the window. Daniel took a big sip of his coffee and finally felt a little more awake. "I really needed this," he said. As they ate, Anna reminded him, "Don't forget we have a group project meeting this afternoon. The professor wants us to prepare a short presentation for next week." Daniel almost dropped his sandwich. He had completely forgotten about the project. "Oh no," he said. "I didn't bring any of my notes. They're all at home on my desk." Anna shook her head. "You really need to get more organized. But don't worry, I have my laptop with me. We can work on it together." After lunch, they went to the library to prepare for the group meeting. The library was quiet, filled with students reading, typing on their laptops, and whispering softly. Daniel and Anna found a corner table and opened her laptop. They started discussing their project topic, which was about renewable energy. Daniel tried to contribute, but his mind kept wandering. He thought about how tired he was, how he wished he could just go back to bed. At one point, he yawned so loudly that the librarian gave him a sharp look. Anna laughed quietly and said, "Maybe you should drink another coffee." Despite his tiredness, Daniel managed to share some ideas. They made a list of tasks. Anna would create the slides, Daniel would research some statistics, and their other teammate Mark would prepare the introduction. By the time they finished, Daniel felt a bit more confident. At least something productive had happened in his day. When the group meeting ended, Daniel decided to go to the bookstore on campus. He wanted to buy a new notebook because he didn't want to depend on borrowing paper again. At the bookstore, he picked up a notebook with a bright blue cover and a pack of pens. As he paid at the counter, he thought, "This will help me stay more organized." However, his day was not finished with surprises. As he walked outside, it suddenly started to rain. He had no umbrella, and of course, he was wearing the shirt with the stain. Now it was getting wet too. Daniel sighed and said to himself, "Could this day get any worse?" He ran to the bus stop, but when he got there, the bus had just left. Again. He stood under the shelter, dripping with rain, waiting for the next one. He checked his phone, hoping for some good news. Instead, he saw a notification. His electricity bill was due today. He had completely forgotten to pay it. Daniel felt overwhelmed. First the alarm, then the bus, then the notebook, and now this, he thought. But he told himself to stay calm. He could still pay the bill online once he got home. When the bus finally arrived, Daniel got on and sat near the window. He watched the rain fall outside, the city streets full of people with umbrellas rushing to their destinations. He thought about how small problems, when combined, could make a day feel like a disaster. But he also realized that tomorrow would be a new day and things could go better. By the time he reached his apartment, it was almost 3 in the afternoon. He was exhausted. He changed into dry clothes, made himself a cup of tea, and sat down at his desk. He opened his laptop to pay the bill. But guess what? The Wi-Fi wasn't working. Daniel stared at the screen, then leaned back in his chair. "Unbelievable," he muttered. He decided to use his phone's mobile data instead. Luckily, that worked, and he finally paid the bill. With that small victory, he felt a little better. Afterwards, he decided to take a short nap. He lay down on the couch, closed his eyes, and thought, just 20 minutes. But when he opened his eyes again, it was 6 in the evening. The nap had been much longer than planned. But at least this time he felt rested. He went into the kitchen, cooked some pasta, and listened to music while he ate. Slowly, his mood improved. Later that evening, Anna sent him a message. "Great work today. Don't forget to send me the statistics tomorrow." Daniel replied, "Thanks, I'll do it. And I promise tomorrow I'll wake up on time." As he prepared for bed, Daniel finally laughed about his day. "It was one of those days," he said to himself. "But at least I survived it." Daniel sat on his couch after dinner, staring at his phone. He felt calm for the first time that day. The soft music playing from his small speaker filled the room, and the warm pasta in his stomach made him feel comforted. But even though the stress of the morning had passed, his mind still wandered back to everything that had gone wrong. He asked himself, why do these kinds of days happen? Is it just bad luck? Or is it because I wasn't prepared? He thought about how he had stayed up too late the night before, scrolling on his phone instead of sleeping. He remembered how he had told himself, just 5 more minutes, again and again, until midnight had turned into 1 o'clock. No wonder he had been so tired in the morning. Maybe, he thought, it wasn't just bad luck. Maybe he had created the conditions for his bad day himself. At that moment, his phone buzzed. It was a call from his mother. Daniel answered quickly, happy to hear her voice. "Hi, Mom," he said. She immediately asked, "How was your day, Daniel?" He laughed softly. It was terrible, Mom. Everything went wrong. I overslept. I missed the bus. I forgot my notebook. And I even got caught in the rain. His mother listened patiently and then said, Well, Daniel, sometimes life gives us days like that, but you can learn from them. The important thing is to see what you can do differently tomorrow. Her voice was calm, reassuring, and full of care. Daniel smiled. You're right, Mom. I'll try to sleep earlier tonight. And I'll prepare my things before bed. After the call, Daniel felt lighter. Sometimes just talking to someone who cares about you can completely change your perspective. He made himself another cup of tea, sat by the window, and watched the rain slowly stop. The streets looked shiny under the streetlights, and the city felt quieter. Around 7:30, Daniel remembered that he had promised Anna he would send her some statistics for their project the next day. He opened his laptop, and thankfully the Wi-Fi had started working again. He searched for information about renewable energy and started writing down important numbers, like how much solar power had increased in the last decade, and how wind turbines were becoming more common around the world. As he worked, he realized that he actually enjoyed learning about this topic, but Daniel was easily distracted. After a while, he opened another tab and started watching a funny video. Then another, and another. Before he knew it, almost an hour had passed, and he still hadn't finished his research. Oh no, he muttered. I'm doing it again. He forced himself to close the videos and focus. If I don't finish this now, I'll regret it tomorrow. So he pushed through his tiredness, typed up his notes, and saved everything in a folder. By the time he was done, it was almost 9 o'clock. Daniel stretched his arms and decided he deserved a small reward. He made some popcorn, sat on the couch again, and started watching a TV series he liked. The characters were funny, the story was light, and soon he found himself laughing. It was a simple pleasure, but it made him forget about the stressful parts of his day. At 10 o'clock, Daniel finally turned off the TV. He stood up, looked around his apartment, and began to prepare for the next day. He packed his bag with his new notebook, his pens, and the printouts of his research. He put his wallet and keys in the same spot near the door. He even chose his clothes for the morning and placed them neatly on the chair. As he was doing this, he thought, maybe this is the secret. If I prepare now, I won't feel so rushed tomorrow. Finally, he brushed his teeth, set 2 alarms on his phone, and climbed into bed. Before turning off the light, he took a moment to write in his journal. He wrote, Today was difficult, but I learned that preparation is important. I also learned that even when things go wrong, I can still finish the day well if I don't give up. Then, with a small smile on his face, he turned off the light and drifted to sleep. The next morning was very different. At 6:55, Daniel's first alarm rang. He woke up stretched and actually felt rested. For a moment, he thought about pressing the snooze button, but then he remembered yesterday. He sat up quickly and said to himself, Not today. He went to the bathroom, washed his face, and took a refreshing shower. The warm water made him feel fully awake. Then he made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, and a cup of coffee. He even had time to sit down at the table and eat slowly. When he looked at the clock, it was only 7:45. He still had 15 minutes before he needed to leave. That gave him time to double-check his bag, put on his shoes carefully, and even wash the stain out of his shirt from the day before. When he finally left his apartment, he felt calm and ready. As he walked to the bus stop, he saw the bus arriving right on time. He got on without rushing, found a seat by the window, and smiled. Anna sent him a quick message. Morning. Did you survive today? Daniel typed back, yes. This time I'm early. On the bus ride, Daniel looked outside at the city waking up. He realized something important. One bad day doesn't mean all days will be bad. And one good decision, like sleeping earlier, can completely change how you feel the next day. When he arrived at the university, he was not only on time, but actually early. He sat in the classroom, opened his brand new notebook, and felt prepared. The professor walked in, and Daniel was ready to learn. As the lesson began, Daniel wrote down notes neatly, feeling proud of himself. His stressful day yesterday had taught him a lesson he would not forget. Preparation, discipline, and a positive attitude can make a huge difference. But of course, life is never perfect. Later that afternoon, Daniel faced another small challenge, one that would test his patience in a new way. After a productive morning, Daniel left the classroom feeling confident. He thought to himself, finally, a good start to the day. But little did he know, the afternoon would still bring some surprises. His first class ended at 11 o'clock. He checked his phone and saw a message from Anna. Hey Daniel, do you want to meet in the library at 12:30? We need to finalize our group project. Daniel quickly replied, yes, I'll be there. I have some free time, so I'll start looking for more research now. He decided to go to the university cafeteria to grab a small snack before starting his research. The line was not very long this time, so he ordered a banana and a cup of green tea. He found a quiet table near the window. As he ate, he reviewed his notes from the morning and organized them on his laptop. While he was working, his classmate Mark walked in. Mark was cheerful and always seemed to be in a hurry. Hey Daniel, Mark said. Are you ready for the project meeting later? Daniel smiled. I think so. I finished gathering most of the statistics yesterday evening. Mark nodded. Great. Anna and I will start preparing the slides, and we can combine everything when we meet. Daniel took a sip of his tea and looked out the window. The campus was busy, with students walking between classes, some carrying books, others chatting on their phones. He thought about how normal life sometimes felt chaotic, but at least today, he had a plan. At 12:15, Daniel packed his things and walked to the library. He found Anna already at their usual corner table, her laptop open and papers spread across the desk. She smiled when she saw him. Hey, Daniel. Perfect timing. Together they began working on the project. Anna typed quickly, making slides with clear headings and bullet points. Daniel read aloud the statistics he had found and suggested how to explain them simply. Mark joined them shortly after, carrying some extra notes. As they worked, they discussed ways to make the presentation interesting. Daniel suggested using a small graph to show the increase in renewable energy use over the last decade. Anna added colorful images to the slides, and Mark wrote a short introduction. Step by step, the presentation took shape. By 2 p.m., they had completed most of the slides. Daniel felt proud. This looks really good, he said. I think the professor will be happy with our work. Anna nodded. Yes, and it's nice to see how well we work together when we plan ahead. Just as they were about to take a short break, Daniel realized something else. Oh no, I forgot to print the slides for tomorrow's presentation, he said. Anna looked up. It's okay, we can print them here in the library. There's a printer on the second floor. They went to the printer together. Unfortunately, the printer was not working. A small sign said, "Out of order." Daniel sighed. First the printer, then maybe the copier, he muttered. He and Anna decided to try another printer in a different library building. They walked quickly across the campus, their bags bouncing as they hurried. When they reached the second library, the printer worked, but it was very slow. Daniel watched as each slide printed one by one. By the time they finished, it was already 2:45. They returned to their table and continued reviewing the slides. Daniel noticed a few small mistakes, typos and missing numbers, and quickly corrected them. After a productive but busy afternoon, they finally finished their project preparation. Daniel felt a sense of relief. Finally, he said, everything is ready for tomorrow. But then, as they packed their things, Daniel realized he had left his water bottle in the cafeteria. He ran back quickly to retrieve it, only to find it missing. Someone had probably taken it by mistake. Daniel smiled and said, well, at least it's just a water bottle, not something important. He made a mental note to bring a new one tomorrow. Walking back to his apartment, Daniel reflected on the day so far. Even though it had started with stress yesterday, today he had managed to stay organized and calm. Small problems still appeared, like the printer and the water bottle, but they didn't feel overwhelming because he had a plan. When he arrived at home, he decided to take a short break before starting his evening tasks. He made a cup of tea, sat on the couch, and opened a book he had been reading. It was a novel about a young traveler exploring different countries. As he read, he noticed new English words and phrases. This was a part of his daily routine to improve his English, reading, listening, and writing a few sentences in his journal. After about 40 minutes, he closed the book and opened his laptop again. He checked his emails and saw one from his part-time job at a local cafe. The manager asked him to confirm his shift for tomorrow evening. Daniel quickly replied, confirming that he would work. He made a note in his planner, ensuring he would be ready. Next, Daniel thought about dinner. He wanted something quick and healthy. He decided to make a stir-fry with vegetables and chicken. While cooking, he listened to a podcast in English, another way he practiced listening skills daily. The combination of cooking and listening made the time pass quickly. After dinner, Daniel washed the dishes and cleaned the kitchen. Then he sat down at his desk to review his class notes. He highlighted the most important points and wrote a small summary of what he had learned today. Even though it was a long day, he felt satisfied with his efforts. Around 7:30, he decided to take a short walk outside. The evening air was cool and refreshing. He walked through the neighborhood, observing families having dinner, children playing in the park, and neighbors walking their dogs. Daniel thought about how normal life had its ups and downs, but the little routines like walking or preparing meals gave structure to the day. During the walk, he ran into a friend from his class, Emily. She greeted him warmly. "Hey, Daniel. How's your day going?" Daniel smiled. "Pretty good. We finished the group project for tomorrow." "How about you?" Emily laughed. "Same here, a busy day as always. But it's nice when things finally get done, isn't it?" Daniel nodded. "Absolutely. It feels good to see the results of our work." After the walk, Daniel returned home. He made himself a cup of herbal tea and sat near the window looking at the city lights. He thought about how important planning and preparation were. Yesterday had been a chaotic day, but today, even with small obstacles, he had managed to stay calm, organized, and productive. Finally, Daniel wrote a few sentences in his journal. "Today was busy, but I felt in control. I learned that planning ahead, being patient, and staying focused can make a big difference. Even when small problems appear, I can handle them calmly." He closed his journal, cleaned his desk, and prepared for the evening. Before going to bed, he set 2 alarms again, packed his bag for the next day, and laid out his clothes. For the first time in a long while, he felt ready, organized, and confident. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling refreshed. His 2 alarms had done their job, and this time he got up immediately. He stretched, yawned, and smiled to himself. Finally, a smooth start, he thought. He went to the bathroom, brushed his teeth, and took a quick shower. The warm water helped him feel fully awake and ready for the day. After his shower, he went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. He cracked 2 eggs into a pan, toasted some bread, and made a cup of coffee. While eating, he checked his planner to see the schedule for the day. He had 2 classes in the morning, a group project meeting after lunch, and his part-time shift at the cafe in the evening. Daniel made a mental note to leave his apartment early so he could avoid the stress of rushing like yesterday. After breakfast, he packed his bag carefully. He double-checked that he had his notebook, pens, laptop, and all the materials for the group project. He even added an extra pen and a highlighter, just in case. By 8 o'clock, Daniel was ready to leave. He walked to the bus stop, feeling calm and organized. The sun was shining, and a few students were already waiting. When the bus arrived, Daniel got on, found a seat by the window, and watched the city streets pass by. He noticed the small details around him, the flower stalls near the street corners, people jogging in the park, and a man walking his dog. Observing these details made him feel present and relaxed. At the university, Daniel's first class started at 9. The professor was discussing a new topic in environmental science. Today, they were learning about the impact of plastic waste on oceans. Daniel listened carefully and took notes diligently. Unlike yesterday, he felt confident because he had brought his notebook and pens, and he had organized everything in advance. During the class, the professor asked a question about recycling practices in different countries. Daniel raised his hand and answered correctly. The professor smiled and said, "Good job, Daniel." "That's exactly right." Daniel felt proud. Small victories like this gave him confidence and made him more motivated to participate in class. After the first class, Daniel had a 10-minute break. He went to the campus cafe to grab a small snack and a bottle of water. While waiting in line, he ran into his friend Emily again. She was smiling and carrying a stack of books. "Morning, Daniel. Did you manage to wake up on time today?" she asked playfully. Daniel laughed. "Yes, and I even managed to prepare everything yesterday evening. No rushing this morning." Emily nodded approvingly. "Good for you. That makes a big difference." After his snack, Daniel attended his second class. This one was a language class focused on improving English communication skills. Today's lesson was about expressing opinions clearly. The professor asked students to discuss their favorite hobbies and explain why they liked them. Daniel raised his hand and talked about reading novels and listening to podcasts in English. He explained how these activities helped him improve his vocabulary and understanding of grammar. His classmates listened attentively, and a few nodded in agreement. One student asked, "Do you also try to speak English with your friends?" Daniel smiled. "Yes, sometimes. I try to practice every day, even if it's just a few sentences. It really helps to improve confidence." After the class, Daniel had a short break before his group project meeting. He decided to review the slides they had prepared yesterday. He checked that all the statistics were correct and that the images were clear. Everything looked fine, so he felt confident about presenting with Anna and Mark later. At 12:30, Daniel met Anna and Mark in the library. They found their usual corner table and set up their laptops. Anna had already made a few adjustments to the slides, and Mark had written the introduction clearly. They went through the presentation one more time. Daniel read the statistics aloud, making sure they were accurate and easy to understand. During their review, a small problem appeared. One of the charts on Anna's laptop did not display correctly. The colors were mixed up and some numbers were hard to read. Daniel suggested, "Maybe we should redo the chart in Excel. It will be easier to read and more professional." Anna agreed, and they spent the next 20 minutes fixing the chart. Mark helped by checking the numbers and making sure everything matched the slides. Once it was done, the presentation looked polished and ready. By 1:15, they finished their meeting. Daniel felt satisfied. "We're ready," he said. "Now we just need to practice presenting tomorrow." Anna smiled. "Yes, and it feels much better knowing we are prepared." After the meeting, Daniel decided to take a short walk around the campus before heading to his part-time shift at the cafe. The weather was mild with a light breeze. He walked through the garden area, noticing the students studying on benches and the flowers blooming along the paths. Walking helped him clear his mind and recharge before the next task of the day. When he returned to the student center, he grabbed a quick sandwich and a bottle of juice. Then he checked the time and realized he had about 20 minutes before his cafe shift began. By 3:30, Daniel headed to the cafe for his shift. The cafe was busy, with people ordering coffee, pastries, and sandwiches. Daniel greeted the regular customers with a smile. "Hi, Mr. Thompson." "Good afternoon." Mr. Thompson, a friendly elderly man, waved back. "Hello, Daniel. You're looking cheerful today." Daniel felt pleased. Serving customers and interacting in English gave him an opportunity to practice conversational skills naturally. During his shift, Daniel faced a small challenge. One of the espresso machines stopped working temporarily. Several customers were waiting and the line grew longer. Daniel remained calm, explained politely to the customers, and offered alternatives. "I'm very sorry, but the espresso machine is not working. Would you like to try a latte or a cappuccino instead?" Most customers nodded, appreciated his honesty, and ordered something else. Daniel quickly adjusted and helped the barista prepare drinks efficiently. Even though it was stressful, he managed to stay calm and handled the situation well. By 6 o'clock, Daniel's shift ended. He said goodbye to his coworkers and walked home. On the way, he reflected on the day. It had been busy and filled with small challenges, but unlike yesterday, he had stayed organized and calm. Even problems like the printer, missing water bottle, and espresso machine had not overwhelmed him because he planned ahead and stayed focused. When he arrived home, Daniel made a light dinner and then sat down at his desk. He opened his journal and wrote about the lessons he had learned today. Even when challenges appear, preparation and patience help me stay calm. Small problems do not have to ruin the day. Staying organized and focused is key to managing stress and being productive. After journaling, he took a short break, making a cup of tea and reading a few pages from his English novel. The combination of rest, reflection, and practice made him feel ready for the next day. After finishing his light dinner, Daniel cleared his plate, washed the dishes, and put everything away neatly. He felt a sense of satisfaction in having a clean kitchen. Small routines like this made him feel in control of his day. Then he sat down at his desk to focus on his personal studies. His plan for the evening was to review some of the vocabulary he had been learning in English, practice a few writing exercises, and read more of his novel. He opened his notebook and started by reviewing new words he had written down over the past few days. Words like efficient, overwhelmed, prepare, and organized came up. Daniel repeated each word aloud, saying example sentences. "I need to be efficient when I plan my day," he said. I sometimes feel overwhelmed by small tasks, but preparation helps. This method helped him remember the words and how to use them naturally. After about 20 minutes of vocabulary practice, Daniel turned to his writing exercises. He had a small prompt from his English course. Describe a challenging day and explain how you overcame it. Daniel thought about yesterday, the day everything had gone wrong, and today, which had gone much better. He started writing in English. Yesterday was very stressful. I overslept, missed the bus, and forgot my notebook. It was difficult to focus in class. Today, however, I prepared everything the night before. I woke up on time, organized my bag, and stayed calm. Even small problems like the printer and the espresso machine did not affect me because I was prepared and focused. As he wrote, Daniel noticed that his sentences were becoming longer and more complex. He felt proud of himself for being able to express his thoughts clearly in English. Writing about personal experiences was not only good practice, but also a way to reflect on his own growth. Next, Daniel opened his novel. It was a story about a young traveler exploring different countries, meeting new people, and learning about different cultures. Reading in English had become one of his favorite habits. As he read, he highlighted new words and phrases, then looked up their meanings. For example, he found the word adventure used in a sentence. Every adventure teaches you something new about yourself. Daniel smiled, thinking about his own small adventures in daily life, like managing unexpected challenges at school or work. While reading, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his friend Anna. Hey Daniel, don't forget to check the slides again before tomorrow. We can meet briefly if you want to review together. Daniel replied, Thanks. Anna, I'll check them tonight. He appreciated that Anna was reliable and supportive. It made working on group projects less stressful. After finishing a few chapters, Daniel decided to practice his listening skills. He put on his headphones and listened to a podcast in English about daily routines and productivity. The narrator spoke clearly and used simple but natural English. Daniel paused occasionally to repeat sentences and practice pronunciation. He found this technique very helpful because it improved both his listening comprehension and his speaking ability. Around 9 o'clock, Daniel realized he had been studying and reading for over an hour. He took a short break, stretched, and looked out the window. The city lights were reflecting off the quiet streets, and the gentle night breeze made him feel calm. He thought about how the day had gone. Productive, challenging, but manageable. This reflection helped him appreciate the effort he had put into staying organized and calm throughout the day. After his break, Daniel returned to his desk to finalize a few tasks for the next day. He double-checked his group project slides, making sure the statistics were correct and the formatting was clean. He also prepared his bag, placing his notebook, pens, and laptop in the same positions as the night before. Having a consistent routine helped him feel in control and reduce stress in the morning. As he worked, Daniel thought about the lessons he had learned from the past 2 days. 1, that preparation is essential. 2, that even when unexpected problems arise, staying calm and adapting is key. And 3, that reflecting on successes and challenges helps him grow. He made a short list of these points in his journal so he could remember them in the future. Finally, around 10:30, Daniel decided it was time to wind down. He turned off his laptop and made a cup of herbal tea. Sitting on the couch with his tea, he took a moment to enjoy the quiet and think about the day. Small victories like finishing his project review, practicing English, and handling minor challenges made him feel accomplished. As he sipped his tea, he reflected on his personal growth. He thought about how yesterday's chaotic morning had been a learning experience. Today he had applied the lessons from yesterday and had a smoother, more productive day. He realized that progress was gradual and required both patience and effort. Before going to bed, Daniel wrote a few sentences in his journal. Today was productive and calm. I handled challenges without panicking and completed my tasks. Preparing in advance and staying organized really helped. I will continue to practice English every day and improve step by step. After journaling, he set his 2 alarms for the next morning, laid out his clothes, and placed his bag by the door. He felt ready and confident. Finally, he turned off the lights and climbed into bed. For the first time in a while, Daniel went to sleep without worry, feeling proud of his efforts and ready for the next day. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling ready for a new day. His 2 alarms rang on time, and he immediately got out of bed. He stretched, yawned, and smiled, remembering how organized and calm yesterday had been. Today he was determined to maintain that momentum. After a quick shower, he went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. He made scrambled eggs, toast, and a cup of coffee just like the day before. While eating, he checked his planner. His first class was at 9 o'clock, a lecture on environmental science, followed by a language class, then a group project review session with Anna and Mark in the afternoon. He also had his part-time shift at the cafe in the evening. Daniel liked seeing the day laid out clearly. It helped him feel prepared and focused. After breakfast, he packed his bag carefully. His notebook, pens, and laptop were all ready, and he even included his journal to write notes later. By 8 o'clock, he left his apartment and walked to the bus stop. The morning air was crisp, and the streets were already busy with students heading to the university. He noticed the small details around him, the morning sunlight reflecting on car windows, a group of students laughing by the park, and the smell of fresh bread from a nearby bakery. These small observations made him feel calm and connected to the world around him. The bus arrived on time, and Daniel found a seat by the window. He pulled out his notebook and reviewed the vocabulary words he had learned the day before. Words like organized, efficient, overwhelmed, and productive were fresh in his mind. He repeated each word aloud and created example sentences. This short exercise helped him prepare mentally for the day and practice English pronunciation. By 9 o'clock, Daniel was in his first class. The professor began discussing the impact of renewable energy on local communities. Daniel listened carefully and took detailed notes. This time, unlike earlier chaotic days, he felt confident. He had everything he needed, and he was prepared to participate. When the professor asked a question about the benefits of solar energy, Daniel raised his hand and answered confidently. The professor nodded approvingly and said, "Exactly, Daniel. That's a great example." After the lecture, he had a short break. Daniel decided to visit the campus cafe for a quick snack. While waiting in line, he ran into Emily, a friendly classmate. "Good morning, Daniel." "You look prepared today," she said with a smile. Daniel laughed. "Thanks, Emily. I learned my lesson from the other day. Being ready makes everything easier." Emily nodded. "Absolutely. Planning ahead saves so much stress." Daniel grabbed a banana and a bottle of water, then found a quiet spot near the window. He reviewed the notes he had just taken, organizing them in his notebook. Taking a few minutes to do this helped him retain information and stay focused for the next class. His second class, the language class, started at 11. Today, the lesson focused on expressing opinions and giving reasons in English. The professor asked each student to talk about a hobby and explain why it was enjoyable. Daniel spoke about reading novels and listening to podcasts in English, explaining how these activities helped him improve vocabulary and understanding of grammar. He also mentioned how writing about his daily experiences in a journal strengthened his skills. During the class, another student asked him, "Do you practice speaking English outside of class?" Daniel smiled. "Yes, I try to use English in conversations with friends or during my part-time work at the cafe. Practicing every day helps me become more confident." After the class ended, Daniel had a short break before the group project review. He took this time to prepare mentally, reviewing the slides and statistics he had gathered previously. He wanted to ensure that everything was accurate and clear before meeting Anna and Mark. At 12:30, Daniel met Anna and Mark in the library. They quickly set up their laptops and went over the slides one last time. Anna had improved the design, and Mark had refined the introduction. Daniel read the statistics aloud, confirming their accuracy. He suggested a few minor changes to make the information easier to understand for the audience. Together, they practiced transitions between slides, making sure each part of the presentation flowed smoothly. During the review, a small challenge appeared. One of the images on the slides was blurry and hard to see. Daniel suggested, "Maybe we can replace it with a higher quality image from the website." Anna agreed, and they quickly found a better version. This small problem didn't frustrate them because they had prepared thoroughly and were able to adapt efficiently. By 1:30, they completed the review. Daniel felt satisfied. "Everything is ready for tomorrow," he said. Anna nodded. "Yes, and practicing together makes us more confident." Mark added, "It's amazing how preparation can make a difference." After the meeting, Daniel decided to take a short walk around the campus. The mild weather and light breeze helped him relax. He observed students studying on benches, children playing in the nearby park, and neighbors walking their dogs. Walking was one of his favorite ways to clear his mind before moving on to the next task of the day. At 2 o'clock, Daniel returned to the student center for a quick snack. He ate a small sandwich and drank juice, then reviewed his vocabulary again while waiting for his part-time shift at the cafe. Listening to English podcasts in the background, he repeated phrases aloud and noted down useful expressions in his journal. By 3:30, Daniel arrived at the cafe. The afternoon rush had begun, and the line of customers was long. Daniel greeted each customer politely, practiced his English conversational skills, and helped prepare drinks efficiently. During the shift, a small challenge appeared. The coffee grinder stopped working temporarily. Daniel calmly informed the customers and suggested alternative drinks. Most customers were understanding, and he quickly adapted to the situation. By 6 o'clock, his shift ended. Walking home, Daniel reflected on the day. Even though challenges appeared, he stayed calm and organized. Preparation, focus, and patience had allowed him to navigate obstacles successfully. He realized that even small steps, like reviewing vocabulary, organizing notes, and planning ahead, made a significant difference in managing stress and improving English skills. When he arrived home, Daniel made a light dinner and then settled at his desk. He reviewed his group project slides one more time and wrote a few notes in his journal. Today was productive. I managed challenges calmly and completed my tasks efficiently. Reviewing notes, practicing English, and reflecting on progress helps me improve every day. After journaling, Daniel spent the evening reading his novel and listening to a podcast in English. He highlighted new vocabulary, repeated phrases aloud, and reflected on his personal growth. By 10 o'clock, he set his alarms, laid out his clothes for the next day, and prepared his bag. Feeling calm and satisfied, he turned off the lights and went to bed, ready to face another productive day. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling calm and organized. His 2 alarms went off on time, and he got out of bed without hitting snooze. He stretched, yawned, and smiled, thinking about how well the last few days had gone. Today, he wanted to continue this positive streak. He went to the bathroom, brushed his teeth, and took a warm shower. The water helped him feel fully awake, and he enjoyed the quiet of the morning. After the shower, Daniel prepared breakfast. He made a simple meal, oatmeal with honey and fruit, and a cup of tea. While eating, he looked at his planner to check the schedule. He had 3 classes today, a group study session in the afternoon, and his cafe shift in the evening. He wrote down a few reminders. Review vocabulary, finish the short essay for the language class, and double-check the slides for tomorrow's presentation. By 8 o'clock, Daniel was ready to leave. He packed his bag carefully, making sure to include his notebook, pens, laptop, and journal. Everything was neatly arranged, so he wouldn't waste time searching for items later. Walking to the bus stop, he noticed the city waking up. The streets were busier than yesterday, with students, office workers, and vendors opening their shops. Daniel felt energized by the morning activity and appreciated the small details: the smell of fresh bread, the sounds of birds, and the morning sunlight reflecting off the windows. On the bus, Daniel reviewed his vocabulary words from the past week. He said the words aloud, forming sentences. Being organized helps me feel less stressed, he repeated. I practice English every day to improve my skills. This brief exercise gave him confidence and prepared him mentally for his first class. The first lecture of the day began at 9 o'clock. Today, the professor discussed climate change and its impact on local communities. Daniel listened attentively and took notes carefully. He felt prepared and engaged, unlike the mornings he had experienced before he started organizing his routine. When the professor asked a question about renewable energy, Daniel raised his hand and answered clearly. The professor nodded approvingly and said, "Well done, Daniel. That's exactly right." A small sense of pride filled him, reinforcing the importance of preparation. After the lecture, Daniel went to the campus cafe for a short break. While waiting in line, he ran into Emily. "Good morning, Daniel. You seem ready for anything today," she said with a smile. Daniel laughed. "I've learned my lesson. Being prepared makes the day much smoother." Emily nodded. "Absolutely. Even small habits like reviewing your notes in the morning make a big difference." Daniel grabbed a small sandwich and a bottle of water, then found a quiet table. He reviewed his notes while eating, ensuring that he understood key concepts from the lecture. He highlighted important phrases and wrote down new words, practicing spelling and meaning at the same time. At 11 o'clock, his language class began. The topic was writing formal and informal emails. The professor explained how to structure each type, including greetings, body content, and closing sentences. Daniel paid close attention, taking notes carefully. He then practiced writing a few sample emails in his notebook. One example was a formal email requesting information about a library event, and another was an informal message to a friend asking to meet for coffee. Writing these emails helped him practice different registers of English, an important skill for both school and everyday life. After class, Daniel had a short break before his group study session. He decided to take a short walk around the campus. The weather was mild and he felt relaxed. He noticed students studying on benches, friends chatting near the fountains, and children playing near the park. Walking helped him clear his mind and gave him energy for the next activity. At 1 o'clock, Daniel met Anna and Mark in the library. They reviewed the slides for tomorrow's presentation one more time. Anna had updated the design, and Mark had refined the introduction. Daniel read the statistics aloud and suggested a few small adjustments to make the information clearer. While reviewing, they encountered a minor issue. One of the graphs had incorrect labels. Daniel calmly corrected it, explaining to Anna and Mark why the labels needed to match the data exactly. By 2 o'clock, the review was complete. Daniel felt satisfied with the work they had done. "Everything is ready for tomorrow," he said. Anna nodded. "Yes, it feels good to be prepared." Mark added, "Practicing." After the session, Daniel took a short walk to clear his mind. The mild afternoon air and light breeze made him feel relaxed. He observed the campus, noticing students studying, parents walking children, and neighbors jogging. These simple observations helped him feel grounded in his daily routine. By 3 o'clock, Daniel returned to the student center for a quick snack before his cafe shift. He had a small sandwich and a juice, then practiced English by listening to a podcast. The podcast focused on daily routines and time management, and Daniel repeated phrases aloud to improve his pronunciation. He noted interesting expressions in his journal, practicing both listening and writing skills. At 3:30, he arrived at the cafe for his shift. The afternoon rush was beginning, and the line of customers was long. Daniel greeted everyone politely and helped prepare drinks efficiently. During the shift, he faced a small challenge. One of the espresso machines stopped working. Daniel calmly explained the situation to the customers and suggested alternative drinks. Most people were understanding, and he helped prepare the alternative orders quickly. By 6 o'clock, Daniel's shift ended. Walking home, he reflected on the day. Although small problems appeared, he had stayed calm, organized, and focused. Preparation, patience, and planning had allowed him to navigate challenges successfully. He realized that even small steps, like reviewing vocabulary, practicing writing, and organizing tasks, made a big difference in managing stress and improving English skills. Back at his apartment, Daniel prepared a light dinner and then sat at his desk. He reviewed his slides once more, wrote a few notes in his journal, and reflected on the day. Writing in his journal helped him internalize lessons and recognize personal growth. He noted that staying organized, calm, and focused had allowed him to complete tasks effectively, even when unexpected problems arose. After journaling, Daniel read his English novel, listened to a podcast, and highlighted new vocabulary. Repeating phrases aloud and reflecting on their meaning helped him improve listening, speaking, and comprehension skills simultaneously. By 10 o'clock, he set his alarms, laid out his clothes for the next day, and prepared his bag. Feeling calm, satisfied, and confident, he turned off the lights and went to bed, ready for another productive day. The next morning, Daniel woke up to the familiar sound of his 2 alarms. He stretched, yawned, and immediately got out of bed. His body felt rested, and he was ready for another productive day. Today, he reminded himself, he would focus not only on completing tasks, but also on improving his English listening and speaking skills. He took a warm shower, feeling refreshed, and went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. For breakfast, Daniel made a simple but nutritious meal: oatmeal with sliced bananas, a boiled egg, and a cup of green tea. While eating, he reviewed his planner for the day. His schedule included 3 classes in the morning, a group project review in the afternoon, and his part-time cafe shift in the evening. He also planned to spend some time journaling and reading an English novel after dinner. Writing these reminders helped him mentally prepare for the day ahead. After breakfast, Daniel packed his bag carefully. He included his notebook, pens, highlighters, laptop, and journal. Each item had its place, and he checked twice to ensure nothing was forgotten. By 8 o'clock, he left his apartment and walked to the bus stop. The streets were lively, filled with students, workers, and street vendors opening for the day. Daniel enjoyed observing the details. The colorful flowers outside a cafe, a man jogging with his dog, and the sound of children playing in the nearby park. These small observations made him feel present and grounded as he walked. On the bus, Daniel reviewed the vocabulary words he had learned over the past week. He said each word aloud and made sentences. Staying organized helps me finish tasks efficiently, he practiced. Even small challenges can be handled calmly if I plan ahead. These brief exercises helped him reinforce vocabulary, pronunciation, and confidence. By 9 o'clock, Daniel was in his first class of the day, an environmental science lecture. The professor spoke about the impact of urban pollution on local wildlife. Daniel listened attentively, taking detailed notes and highlighting important points. When the professor asked a question about measures to reduce air pollution, Daniel raised his hand and shared his answer. We can encourage the use of public transportation, plant more trees, and reduce industrial emissions, he said. The professor nodded approvingly and commented, "Excellent point, Daniel. Very practical and well thought out." Daniel felt a small surge of pride. Being prepared and paying attention had clearly helped him participate effectively. After the lecture, Daniel had a short break and decided to go to the campus cafe for a snack. While in line, he ran into Emily, who greeted him warmly. "Good morning, Daniel. You seem ready for another busy day." Daniel laughed. "Yes, I'm trying to stay organized." "It really helps," Emily smiled. "I noticed. You seem calmer than last week." Daniel nodded. Planning ahead makes all the difference. Even small tasks feel easier when you're prepared. He ordered a sandwich and a bottle of juice, then found a quiet table to review his notes. While eating, he checked his class materials and highlighted new vocabulary words. Reviewing immediately after class helped him retain information better and reinforced his English learning. At 11 o'clock, Daniel attended his second class, a language course focused on formal and informal communication. Today's lesson was about writing formal letters and emails. The professor explained the differences in tone, structure, and vocabulary. Daniel took notes carefully, then practiced by writing 2 sample emails, one formal, requesting information about a library program, and one informal, inviting a friend for coffee. Writing these examples helped him understand the practical differences between formal and informal English. After class, Daniel had a short break before meeting Anna and Mark for a group project review. He decided to take a short walk around the campus to refresh his mind. The afternoon sunlight was warm, and he felt relaxed while observing students studying on benches, friends chatting by the fountains, and neighbors walking their dogs. Walking helped him clear his mind and prepared him for the focused group session ahead. At 1 o'clock, Daniel met Anna and Mark in the library. They quickly set up their laptops and went over the slides for their presentation. Anna had refined the design, and Mark had polished the introduction. Daniel read the statistics aloud, confirming accuracy and suggested minor adjustments for clarity. While reviewing, they encountered a small problem. One of the images on the slides was blurry. Daniel calmly suggested finding a higher quality version online. Anna agreed, and they quickly fixed it. This minor challenge didn't frustrate them because they had prepared in advance and worked efficiently as a team. By 2 o'clock, the review was complete. Daniel felt satisfied. "Everything is ready for tomorrow," he said. Anna smiled. "Yes, it feels good to be prepared." Mark added, "Practicing together really makes a difference." After the group session, Daniel took a short walk outside. The weather was mild and the breeze was refreshing. He observed students studying, parents walking children, and people jogging. These small observations made him feel connected to the campus community and relaxed after the intense review session. By 3 o'clock, Daniel returned to the student center for a quick snack before heading to his cafe shift. He ate a small sandwich and a juice, then practiced English by listening to a short podcast about daily routines and time management. He repeated phrases aloud, noted useful expressions in his journal, and reflected on how he could apply these strategies in his own life. At 3:30, Daniel began his shift at the cafe. The afternoon rush was busy, with many customers ordering coffee and snacks. Daniel greeted each customer politely and worked efficiently behind the counter. A minor challenge appeared when the espresso machine malfunctioned. Daniel calmly informed the customers, suggesting alternative drinks. Most customers were understanding, and he quickly adapted, helping the barista prepare other drinks. Handling this situation calmly reinforced his problem-solving skills and confidence in English communication. By 6 o'clock, his shift ended. Walking home, Daniel reflected on the day. Although minor problems occurred, he had stayed calm, organized, and productive. Planning ahead, focusing on tasks, and maintaining a positive mindset helped him manage challenges effectively. Once home, Daniel prepared a light dinner, then settled at his desk. He reviewed his slides one last time and wrote notes in his journal. He reflected on the day, noting how preparation and focus allowed him to handle small obstacles without stress. Journaling also helped him practice English writing and think critically about his daily experiences. After journaling, Daniel read his English novel and listened to a podcast. He highlighted new vocabulary, repeated phrases aloud, and reflected on meaning. By 10 o'clock, he set his alarms, laid out clothes for the next day, and prepared his bag. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling refreshed. The rhythm of his past few days had helped him settle into a consistent routine, and he felt ready to tackle another busy day. His 2 alarms rang on time, and he stretched, yawned, and got out of bed immediately. After a quick shower, he headed to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Today, he decided to make scrambled eggs with vegetables and a slice of toast, accompanied by a cup of herbal tea. While eating, Daniel reviewed his planner for the day. He had 3 classes in the morning, a group project meeting in the early afternoon, and his cafe shift in the evening. He also set a personal goal to practice new English expressions during conversations with classmates and during his cafe shift. Writing this goal in his planner made him feel motivated and focused. After breakfast, he packed his bag carefully. Notebook, pens, laptop, highlighters, and journal were all neatly arranged. Double-checking his items gave him confidence that he wouldn't forget anything, and it helped him start the day feeling organized. By 8 o'clock, he left his apartment and walked to the bus stop. The streets were lively, filled with students, workers, and street vendors opening for business. Daniel noticed the small details around him: a flower stall near the corner, the smell of freshly baked bread, and children playing in the park. Observing these details made him feel present and calm. On the bus, Daniel reviewed his vocabulary words from the past week. He repeated them aloud in sentences. "Being organized allows me to focus on important tasks," he practiced. "Even small problems can be solved calmly if I plan ahead." This brief exercise helped him reinforce vocabulary, pronunciation, and confidence in English speaking. By 9 o'clock, Daniel was in his first class of the day, an environmental science lecture. The professor discussed the effects of pollution on local wildlife. Daniel listened attentively, taking notes carefully and highlighting key phrases. When the professor asked a question about practical ways to reduce pollution in urban areas, Daniel raised his hand and responded. "We can use public transportation more, plant more trees, and reduce waste through recycling," he said confidently. The professor nodded approvingly. "Very practical and well thought out, Daniel." He felt a surge of pride. Preparation and attentiveness were clearly paying off. After the lecture, Daniel visited the campus cafe for a short snack. While waiting in line, he saw Emily, a friendly classmate. "Good morning, Daniel. You look focused today," she said with a smile. Daniel laughed. "I've been trying to stick to my routine. It really helps me feel ready for the day." Emily nodded. "I noticed. You seem calmer and more confident," Daniel replied. "Yes, planning ahead makes even small tasks easier." He grabbed a sandwich and a bottle of water and found a quiet table. While eating, he reviewed his notes from the lecture and highlighted new vocabulary words. Reviewing immediately after class helped him retain the information and reinforced his English learning. At 11 o'clock, Daniel's second class began. Today, the lesson was about formal and informal communication in English, focusing on email writing. The professor explained the differences in tone, structure, and vocabulary. Daniel practiced by writing 2 sample emails, a formal email requesting information about a library program, and an informal email inviting a friend to meet for coffee. Writing these examples helped him understand the practical differences between formal and informal English, and improved his confidence in using both styles. After the class ended, Daniel had a short break before meeting Anna and Mark for their group project review. He decided to take a short walk around campus to refresh his mind. The afternoon sunlight was warm, and he felt relaxed as he observed students studying on benches, friends chatting near the fountains, and neighbors walking their dogs. Walking helped him clear his mind and prepared him for the focused group session ahead. At 1 o'clock, Daniel met Anna and Mark in the library. They quickly set up their laptops and reviewed the slides for tomorrow's presentation. Anna had refined the design and Mark had polished the introduction. Daniel read the statistics aloud, checking for accuracy, and suggested minor adjustments to improve clarity. During the review, a small challenge appeared. One of the graphs had mislabeled data. Daniel calmly explained why it was important to correct it and helped Anna fix the labels. The group worked efficiently, and the problem was quickly resolved. By 2 o'clock, their review was complete. Daniel felt satisfied with the work they had done. "Everything is ready for tomorrow," he said. Anna smiled. "Yes, it's great to be prepared." Mark added, "Practicing together really makes a difference and reduces stress." After the session, Daniel decided to take a short walk outside to enjoy the mild weather. He observed students studying, parents walking children, and people jogging. These small observations helped him feel grounded and relaxed after the focused review session. By 3 o'clock, Daniel returned to the student center for a quick snack before heading to his cafe shift. He ate a small sandwich and juice, then practiced English by listening to a short podcast about daily routines and time management. He repeated phrases aloud, noted useful expressions in his journal, and reflected on how he could apply these strategies in his own life. At 3:30, Daniel started his cafe shift. The afternoon rush had begun, with many customers ordering coffee and snacks. Daniel greeted everyone politely and helped prepare drinks efficiently. During the shift, a minor challenge occurred. the coffee grinder stopped working temporarily. Daniel calmly explained the situation to the customers and suggested alternative drinks. Most customers were understanding, and he adapted quickly, preparing alternative orders efficiently. Handling this situation calmly reinforced his problem-solving skills and confidence in English communication. By 6 o'clock, Daniel's shift ended. Walking home, he reflected on the day. Even though minor problems appeared, he had stayed calm, organized, and productive. Planning ahead, focusing on tasks, and maintaining a positive mindset allowed him to handle challenges effectively. Once home, Daniel prepared a light dinner and then settled at his desk. He reviewed his slides once more, wrote notes in his journal, and reflected on the day. Writing in his journal helped him internalize lessons and recognize personal growth. He noted that staying organized, calm, and focused allowed him to complete tasks effectively, even when unexpected problems arose. After journaling, Daniel read his English novel and listened to a podcast. He highlighted new vocabulary, repeated phrases aloud, and reflected on their meaning. By 10 o'clock, he set his alarms, laid out clothes for the next day, and prepared his bag. Feeling calm, organized, and accomplished, he turned off the lights and went to bed, ready for another productive day. The following morning, Daniel woke up to the sound of his 2 alarms. He stretched, yawned, and immediately got out of bed, feeling rested and ready for another productive day. His morning routine had become familiar, and he appreciated the stability it brought to his life. After a quick shower, he went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Today, he decided to make scrambled eggs with spinach and a slice of toast, along with a cup of green tea. He liked starting the day with a healthy meal. It gave him energy and helped him feel focused. While eating, Daniel checked his planner. His day included 3 classes in the morning, a group project review in the early afternoon, and his cafe shift in the evening. He also made a personal goal to practice speaking English more during interactions with classmates and customers at the cafe. Writing this goal in his planner helped him stay motivated and mindful throughout the day. After breakfast, Daniel packed his bag carefully. He included his notebook, pens, highlighters, laptop, and journal. Each item had a designated spot in his bag, which made it easy to find anything quickly. Double-checking his belongings gave him confidence that he was prepared for the day ahead. By 8 o'clock, he left his apartment and walked to the bus stop. The streets were busy with students, workers, and vendors opening their shops. Daniel observed small details around him: a group of students chatting near a cafe, the smell of freshly baked bread, and children playing in the nearby park. These little observations made him feel grounded and present. On the bus, Daniel reviewed vocabulary words he had learned over the past week. He repeated each word aloud and made sentences. Being organized helps me focus on important tasks, he practiced. Even unexpected problems can be handled calmly with preparation. This exercise helped him reinforce vocabulary, pronunciation, and confidence in English speaking. By 9 o'clock, Daniel was in his first class of the day, an environmental science lecture. The professor discussed the effects of climate change on local communities. Daniel listened attentively and took detailed notes, highlighting key phrases and vocabulary. When the professor asked a question about strategies to reduce pollution, Daniel raised his hand. Encouraging public transport use, reducing industrial emissions, and planting more trees are practical solutions, he said. The professor nodded approvingly. Excellent point, Daniel. Very clear and thoughtful. Daniel felt proud. Preparation and attentiveness had clearly paid off. After the lecture, Daniel visited the campus cafe for a short snack. While waiting in line, he ran into Emily, a friendly classmate. "Good morning, Dan." After the lecture, Daniel visited the campus cafe for a short snack. While waiting in line, he ran into Emily, a friendly classmate. "Good morning, Daniel. You look focused today," she said with a smile. Daniel laughed. "I've been sticking to my routine. It really helps me stay organized and calm." Emily nodded. "I noticed. You seem much more confident." Daniel replied, "Yes, planning ahead makes even small challenges easier." He grabbed a sandwich and juice and found a quiet table. While eating, he reviewed his lecture notes and highlighted new vocabulary words. Reviewing right after class helped him retain information and reinforced his English learning. At 11 o'clock, Daniel's second class began. The lesson focused on formal and informal communication in English, especially email writing. The professor explained differences in tone, structure, and vocabulary for formal versus informal emails. Daniel practiced by writing 2 sample emails, one formal request to the library for event information, and one informal message inviting a friend for coffee. Writing these examples helped him understand the practical differences between formal and informal English, while improving his writing skills. After class, Daniel had a short break before meeting Anna and Mark for their group project review. He took a walk around the campus to refresh his mind. The sunlight was warm, and he enjoyed observing students studying on benches, friends chatting near the fountains, and neighbors walking dogs. Walking helped him relax and prepare mentally for the focused review session ahead. At 1 o'clock, Daniel met Anna and Mark in the library. They set up their laptops and reviewed slides for their upcoming presentation. Anna had refined the design, and Mark had polished the introduction. Daniel read the statistics aloud, checking for accuracy, and suggested minor improvements for clarity. During the session, a small challenge arose. One of the charts had incorrect labels. Daniel calmly explained why accuracy mattered and helped correct the labels. The group worked efficiently, and the issue was resolved quickly. By 2 o'clock, the review was complete. Daniel felt satisfied with the results. "Everything is ready for tomorrow," he said. Anna smiled. "Yes, being prepared makes a huge difference." Mark added, "Practicing together boosts confidence and reduces stress." After the session, Daniel decided to take a short walk outside. He enjoyed the mild weather and observed the campus life, students reading, parents with children, and people jogging. These small observations helped him feel relaxed and connected to his surroundings. By 3 o'clock, Daniel returned to the student center for a snack before his cafe shift. He ate a small sandwich and juice, then practiced English by listening to a podcast about daily routines and time management. He repeated phrases aloud, noted useful expressions in his journal, and reflected on how he could apply the strategies in his own life. At 3:30, Daniel began his cafe shift. The afternoon rush was busy, with many customers ordering coffee and snacks. Daniel greeted everyone politely and worked efficiently behind the counter. During the shift, a minor challenge appeared. The espresso machine stopped working temporarily. Daniel calmly explained the situation to the customers and suggested alternative drinks. Most customers were understanding, and he quickly adapted, helping prepare the other orders efficiently. Handling this situation calmly reinforced his problem-solving skills and confidence in English communication. By 6 o'clock, Daniel's shift ended. Walking home, he reflected on the day. Despite minor problems, he had stayed calm, organized, and productive. Planning ahead, focusing on tasks, and maintaining a positive mindset allowed him to manage challenges effectively. Once home, Daniel prepared a light dinner and then sat at his desk. He reviewed his slides one last time, wrote notes in his journal, and reflected on the day. Journaling helped him internalize lessons and recognize personal growth. He noted that staying organized, calm, and focused had allowed him to complete tasks effectively, even when unexpected challenges arose. After journaling, Daniel read his English novel and listened to a podcast. He highlighted new vocabulary, repeated phrases aloud, and reflected on their meaning. By 10 o'clock, he set his alarms, laid out clothes for the next day, and prepared his bag. Feeling calm or